Hi, this is Edward Troxel. In today's tutorial, we're going to go through the timeline and see if we can select only the events inside a selection area. There's a couple of pitfalls that I've discovered as we were going through this. So let's go through and take a look at this and see what we can do to make sure that we can get everything in the selection area. First of all, we need to define what a selection area is. So if we come down here to the timeline and just draw across something like this blue area is the selection area. You can expand it, you can shrink it, however you want to make the selection area, just whatever size you want the selection area to be. I have the collapse option turned on in the preferences, so if I click on the timeline, the selection area goes away, and then I can click and drag to create another selection area. If I want to create a selection area like this, that's just click and drag on the timeline. So the first thing we wanted to do in the script is figure out where the selection area starts and where the selection area ends. So I created me a timecode variable called cell start, and I got that from myvegas.transport.selectionStart, which is the beginning of the selection area. Then I looked at where it is going to end. Well, I don't have a selection end, but I do have a selection start and a selection length. So to set my cell end, I get myvegas.transport.selectionStart plus myvegas.transport.selectionLength. And then, just to see what we're getting, I want to do a messagebox.show, and then let's see what we got for a start and we got for an end. So going back to our selection area here, this is the selection area we had created. Now when we run the script, it says that my selection area starts at 10:51:09 and ends at 7:49:16, which is actually backwards to what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it to start at 7 and end at 10. So you notice I had drawn this selection area beginning at the left and moving to the right. And when I draw the selection area beginning at the left and moving to the right, when I run the script, it gives me where I think the ending point is first, and it gives me where I think the beginning point is second. Now if I do the exact same thing here and draw from right to left, now when I run the script, it says my start is at 7:46 and my end is at 10:52, which is what I'm expecting. I expect the start to be smaller than the end. So I need to go through and make sure that no matter which direction I draw this, where I think the start is at the left, and where I think the end is at the right. So let's make a quick modification to the code. I left the original message box up here, and then I've created me another section here called if the cell start is greater than the cell end. So I'm expecting cell start to be smaller, so if it's greater than the end, what I'm going to do is swap the two variables. So create me a temporary time code and set cell start equal to that. Then I set cell start equal to cell end, and then I set cell end equal to that temporary, and then we're going to display the cell start and cell end again. So let's see what happens now. Creating a selection area from left to right. It tells me originally the start is at 10:51 and it ends at 7:46. But after it does the swap, it now starts at 7:46 and ends at 10:51. And then drawing from right to left, starts at 7:47, ends at 10:51, starts at 7:47, ends at 10:51. So by checking to make sure that the start value is less than the ending value, we have now made sure that by swapping them, if they are not, that our start is where we think the start is and our end is where we think the end is. So now let's actually go through and select the items that are in that area. After we have our selection start and end the way that we want them. Now let's go through each track in myvegas.project.tracks. Then we're going to go through each event on each one of those tracks. Then the first thing I'm going to do is say event.selected equals false. Let's assume that is not in the area until we've determined that it is in the area. So now if event.start is greater than or equal to cell start, and event.end is less than or equal to cell end, is it totally inside this selection area, then we're going to set event.selected equals to true. So now let's see what happens when we run this. So we have our selection area here. We run the script, and it has selected everything that is totally inside this selection area. But notice we have this event to the left that starts outside but ends inside. And then on the right we have one that starts inside but ends outside. And the question is, do we want those selected too? There's actually more than one question here. But let's just start with, do we want those selected too? If that answer is yes, then let's go ahead and add some more code in here so we can select those as well. So let's look at these other next two special cases. If event.end is less than the selection end, so if it ends before the end of the selection and the event.end is greater than the selection start, so the end of this event is inside the selection area, then let's set this one equal to true as well. So if it starts outside but ends inside, now we're going to select this one as well. Then let's look at the other case. If it starts is greater than the cell start and the start is less than the selection end, so it starts inside the selection area but may not end inside the selection area, let's go ahead and set it the selected equals to true as well. So with these two added, let's see what gets selected this time. You can see all the ones inside the selection area are still selected. After running the script, you'll notice that the two on the selection area border are now also selected. So we caught one issue at the very beginning where the selection start and the selection end could be backwards depending on how you draw the selection area, which is kind of an interesting little thing. And then we found how to get everything that was totally inside the selection area selected. And then we found this way to get the ones that were touching the border, partially inside, partially outside, to also be selected. I hope you find this tutorial useful. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Please sign up at www.jettv.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.